The 10-foot pole, the dungeon survival's best friend. I'm calling this series the Weird Gear Chronicles. And you guys all right? Welcome back to the DM and Friends. I am DM Angelo. And man, we have to talk about the responses of our last video. You guys were absolutely crazy about the weird equipment talk. It's awesome to see so many people curious about how we used to crawl through dungeons back in the day and the crazy stuff we had with us. It got me thinking, why just mention these items and these things when we can really do a deep dive into why we had them, right? So we're standing on a brand new series today. So I'm going to start this new series, and every week we're going to highlight one piece of gear that makes new school players say, why on earth is that one on your character sheet, right? And today we're going to start off with the king of them all, the absolute legend, the item that saved more players than any cleric in history, the 10-foot pole. Now, why 10 feet? Right. So I want to talk about standing in a safe place. Right. So why 10 feet? Right. So why was it a 10-foot pole? I mean, specifically 10 feet. Right. So it's kind of a weird length. Right. If you're coming in from modern editions like 5e, you're used to perception checks and investigation rolls. Right. You stand in front of a suspicious tile and you roll a d20 and the DM tells you if there's a trap there or not, right? But in classic, I'm going to say advanced Dungeons and Dragons, and before, and in that era, the dungeon was a puzzle you solved with your brain, right? Not just the dice. Sure, we used dice, but back then, standard corridors were usually 10 feet wide, right? And traps, right? So traps were lethal. We're talking, save or die situations, right? Poison needles and pit traps that didn't just hurt, right? They ended your journey right then and there. So the 10-foot pole was your survival gear, right? It let you reach into the next 10-foot square, right? While you were still standing safely in an area that you knew was solid, right? So it was the original remote control for dungeon crawling, right? So you aren't just poking around. You're staying 10 feet away from the explosion, from the gas or the pit. Simple, but it works, right? So, and here's my 10-foot pole, right? Not really. It's not totally 10 feet, but it's a pole. So I want to talk about practical use more than just, a poke, right? So how do you actually use this thing, right? Because it's not just for floor tiles, right? So there's many uses, and testing for pressure plates, right? This is classic. You tap every stone. You're looking for that click from a safe distance, right? Checking the ceiling, you know what I mean? So you're kind of going up there and you're checking the ceiling. It could be webs up there. You use the pole to kind of poke around for weird growth on the ceiling. It's the green slime, right? Better for the pole to get eaten than your head, right? Or it dropping on you, right? Probing deep water, so getting down there and kind of probing the water, right? If you're in a flooded dungeon, right? How deep is the water? Is there a giant leech at the bottom, right? You find out with the pole first instead of stepping in there and getting attacked, right? How about opening suspicious chests, right? You don't grab the handle with your hand, right? You kind of get your pole and you kind of pull it up and see if a trap goes off, right? You use the pole to flip the lid open, right? And maybe it blows up instead of blowing up in your face, right? So I remember I ran a session, years back, and I'm talking way back, right? My players were totally depleted, no spells. They found a door that they knew was trapped, and they actually investigated this door for a long time, many turns, right? And I remember, I think it was the ranger. He was way too nervous to touch it. The thief in the group wasn't going to touch it either. They knew it was trapped, right? So they used a 10-foot pole to mess around with it and poke it around the corner, right? And boom, a trap went off, right? But nobody dies. Nobody died in that. And you know, you guys, that's player skill, guys. That is player skill. Because I wasn't just going to tell them it's trapped. They had to find out. And there's not a role, to find out traps from 10 feet away, right? So that's when you use your pole, and that's what I love about this game. So logistics. So you're talking about a 10-foot pole, right? So, and this is only probably 4 feet, right? So, logistics. How do you carry it, right? So this is one thing, and there was a lot of talk about this on the comments of the previous video, which I'm going to link to that too, because it's so great, and that's why we're building on this. But now here's a kind of the part that I think that always makes the newer players laugh. Like, how do you carry a 10-foot pole through a 5-foot wide twisting cavern, right? It's a nightmare, right? So you can't put it in the backpack, right? You're hitting the walls, you're tripping over it. It makes you a target. If you're holding a pole, right, you aren't holding a shield, right? You aren't holding a sword, right? This creates a tactical choice, right? Who is the pole man, right? Usually it's the person in the front, and they're basically defenseless if a monster jumps out. I've seen groups tie them to their backpacks, you know what I mean, or even buy a collapsible version of it, which some DMs don't allow. But those always seem to jam right when the ceiling starts coming down or something. It adds a layer of realism, right? You're walking down the hall, you're making noise and you're tapping. Those are pressure tactics that DMs can have, right? It adds a layer of realism and planning that you need to think about in an old school game, and maybe modern games lack. So a shift in the mindset, right? At the end of the day, the 10-foot pole isn't just a stick, right? It represents a shift in how you play. It's about interacting with the environment directly. I also wanted to kind of point out that in the and I wrote this as a note down here in the player's handbook, the 10-foot pole is only 3 copper pieces, right? And in the Dungeon Master Guide, the 10-foot pole is a encumbrance for a 10-foot pole is 100 gold piece weight, and that's on page 225 of the DMG and 36 of the player's handbook. So encumbrance is not the actual weight of it. It's how encumbered you are on your person. So 100 gold piece encumbrance weight. That's pretty. That's a very big addition to your encumbrance if you're playing like that. So next time you're at the general store, right, and it's only 3 copper pieces on the player's handbook, right? Buy the pole, right? Buy this thing. Buy this. Don't worry about the weight, right? You're gonna have to use it, and don't worry about looking silly. Some people might freak out. Oh, I look stupid carrying around this 10-foot pole, right? When the pole hits a pressure plate, right, and saves a party, from a 30-foot drop into a nest of vipers or whatever's down there, you'll be the hero of the session. Remember, in a dangerous dungeon, the difference between life and death isn't always a magic sword. It's a 10-foot pole and a good idea. All right, you guys, that was fun. I'm going to have fun doing this series, and I can't wait to see the comments. But if you guys have a great story about 10-foot poles, right, saving your life or ending it, please put it in the comments, right? I really enjoy reading those and chatting back and forth with you guys. That's so much fun. I love it. So you guys, let me put this poll down. Next week, I'm going to talk about iron spikes. That's another weird thing that we used to carry around. And they're not just for climbing, right? Uh, you have no idea. There's a lot of purposes for iron spikes. So we're going to cover that. All right, you guys, if you enjoyed this, make sure you like, subscribe, and share with another player or DM. I am DM Angelo. This is the DM and Friends. I love Advanced Dungeons and Dragons and old school D&D. I love the 80s, and I love you guys. Take care. Be good to each other. Keep gaming, and bye-bye.